is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the Sideline Junkies Wrestlemaniacs, the Nubian Sumo edition. His first day out there getting his production license. What's up, Sumo?
Mr. Producer? Yeah, for some reason I got the pencil tonight. I don't know why, but I'll take it.
I need a break.
I'll be the booker man.
Yes. Everybody hates the booker man.
Yeah, everybody hates the booker man.
Well, since you're the booker man, you might as well go ahead and tell us what you're smoking, what you're drinking, and what's your T-shirt this week.
All right. Well, the T-shirt this week is the House of Black T-shirt. I think it's one of the first ones that came out.
Yep.
So AEW representing tonight. As far as what I'm drinking tonight, I have pulled out the Penelope Bourbon Barrel Strength, 114 proof, as you can see at the bottom.
My God.
I pulled this one out specifically because it's the same name as my mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Very nice. Happy Mother's Day, but still, you take a sip of that, I hear Jim Ross yelling, "By God!" Man,
now, as far as what I'm gonna smoke tonight, I'm gonna let you decide.
Okay. What's the options?
Options tonight are the Drew Estate Underground Lounge.
Okay.
Or the Herrera Esteli Lounge.
Nah, we'll do the first one. Gives me that Game of Thrones vibe. Looks like you're a Lannister with that logo.
All right, so we'll go with the Underground.
New Game of Thrones show on HBO Max. We'll see if it's any good. I'll give it one episode. If they don't have a nice looking release, I don't care. So, hopefully you've been having a good week, sir. I got me a surprise too. I'm doing a special drink. Welch's, the only and the true grape soda. Why? Because that's my mom's name. No, I'm just joking. But when you crack that thing, woo! That puts life in your chest right there. If you ever want to do an experiment, James, go ahead and get you one of these Welch's grapes. Throw it in the refrigerator for 12 months. I guarantee you, when you crack it, your whole house.
Wait a minute.
What?
12 months?
12 months. Oh, that was some discipline right there. That was years 17 to 18. 18th birthday.
That soda that you just showed me was in your refrigerator for a year.
A year.
Why?
Because, man, 18th birthday, man, you had to crack that thing. I wasn't a drinker, so I wasn't gonna go out and get anything heavy or wine or anything. So that was my feeling. That was my thing. You should have known I transformed from a lightweight to a heavyweight in Atlanta. Get off. What y'all want to do? Go across the street? All right. What time are we getting home? 5 o'clock. What you want to do after that? Go to work. It's like, well, damn. It only took a couple months of that, and I was like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm sick of drinking. I can't stand no more alcohol now. So, Walters was my thing. That's my drink. So, does it taste good?
Oh yeah.
All right, good. Hitting the spot.
That is very good. Hit me right there.
All right. So since we jumping in, we already said it, but we'll say it again. Happy Mother's Day to those that are watching, or to the moms of those that are watching, and definitely to our mom.
And your mom watches this, right?
Yeah. I'm getting there,
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
I appreciate that. And your mom watches. Happy Mother's Day, Miss Penelope. So, speaking of somebody that's not a mom, Tessa Blanchard is in the news again. That's your girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's my girl or not, but I wouldn't say that.
Trouble in promo class. Right.
I mean, she constantly shooting herself in the foot. I mean, I don't know what her problem is, or what's the issue. I mean,
I have no idea.
All you've been asked to do is to help people, help the younger wrestlers develop. B, help the show because it's still it's still up and coming, and they're trying to make this the best show that they can make it into, especially being that it's being from its history from the past. Mm-hmm. And C, help yourself. Because the only reason that they have you on here is because you're trying to develop yourself and reestablish yourself from the crap you did back in Impact.
Mm-hmm. But
so, I mean, what's the point in doing? Where's all this coming from? Where's all this animus coming from?
Here's what confuses me and why it's so hard to talk about this level of dumbness. Or I'm going to call it dumbness. I guess we call it idiocracy. I am actually at this moment pulling for her to be a closet racist, which is the adverse to which will make life easier if everybody was just upfront with their racism, so you don't have to see all the closet politics. But for her, I'm like, you just want to be like, shut up, stupid. At least get your foot way in the door. You know, make.
I mean, money. Yeah, if you're gonna be a racist, at least own it.
And then then pull it. I'm with that. But how are you going to do some in promo class? You can't get any more basic than I don't know. It's just self-sabotage.
And then I'm trying to find the quote that I saw earlier.
I didn't want to read it
because she's finally responded to what was being said about her. I'm trying to find it. I thought I saved it. Hold on. But yeah, she and I want to hear from her father on this.
But do you?
And I know he's never going to say anything
because some things are learned, and some things are taught.
Which is why I want to hear from the father from Tully, because I mean, is this something she got from Tully? Is this something that she learned from a family member? I mean, what's the deal?
You just don't jump into make-believe and start throwing out the N-words and racist slurs. You kind of just don't jump into make-believe. I can understand if we standing toe-to-toe or we cutting a promo and then I just start, I'm going to go ham. I'm going to get you to mark out. I'm going to get you to go ahead and pop and, want to get mad at me and build some heat. And we right there in the heat of things because we get paid for it. And then I'll get the slap on the wrist later and pay the fine.
Okay, so here's the quote. Here's what she tweeted. Now I'm just trying to make sense of this. When standing up for your beliefs becomes a matter of great inconvenience, will you stand?
Does she want to be?
And then she deactivated her Twitter.
Does she want to be the martyr, the one that's going to jump on the sword for that belief? But yet you want to be a public figure? Like if you want that level of smoke, you can have that level of smoke. But I don't think she's strong enough by her deleting her Twitter. She can't handle that.
Right.
If you want to be the upfront, bigot, racist, whatever you want to be, that's fine. But at least come out with that. And well, I guess that's what she's doing now. She's just leading with it. Like, hey guys, I just want to let you know this is me. Now, if y'all want to hire me, that's cool. But this is me. So I don't know.
So now it's up in the air whether she's still with WoW or not. Because they don't know, they haven't really said whether they've let her go or not, or whether she's left. But she has been relieved of her coaching duties, and they have rehired Zelina Majors, who was a former coach of theirs back in the day, and was a coach with WCW, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the power plant. So they brought her back. But they just got this deal with the CW and CBS to put these wild shows on television. So
she's
again,
done. Nobody's gonna touch her.
Again, why? Why put yourself in that position?
Yeah, I saw a couple insider messages saying, well, all she got left is AAA. And I don't even think they're going to want to touch her at this point.
No, they will. They
You
will.
think so?
She got the hook in with Daga.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
true.
she still got the hook in with Daga, and she's got a little bit of a rep now and a little bit of a reputation in Mexico. So yeah, I can see her going to Mexico, maybe AAA, more likely CMLL or one of the smaller organizations like Crash or with or hooking up with Conan in some kind of way. But yeah, I see her in Mexico. I don't see her having a problem getting into Mexico.
The messed up side is all she had to do was keep her mouth shut. We're like, what,
Yeah,
2 years removed from all that stuff that, to speak out and everything, and people saying and messaging about what she said back in the day, or this person, or spitting and all that. I had pretty much forgot about all that at this point. All she had to do was be quiet,
hmm
get the checks, get
all she had
some
to do was do her
followers,
job.
at literally the job.
That's all she had to do was do her job.
Uh, so, I don't know. Like I said, some things are taught, some things are, discovered, and then she's just bad. So we're just gonna let her be what it's gonna be. But on the other
Right.
side of the news, you sent the message and made us aware of the old WWE's boy, Freddie Prince Jr., Stephanie McMahon's first crush. He's looking to start his own thing with. I thought it was interesting that you sent this message because this is 100% what you hated about Young Rock. The way he's looking to Hollywood ties, I guess if that's a word, his promotion. He's got the money for it, so it's not like he can't do it. He just needs the distribution deal. But here is what he would like the framework of this wrestling promotion to be. He's looking to try to do it in 18 months, which there's enough people out there. Talent isn't a problem. He wants a 2 hour show. Uh, he has the money for a 3 year plan. So, he wants to establish some stars, have some top heels, have some top faces. Not sure if he's going to lean heavy in the tag team, but he has 3 years at least worked out in his head. Mind you, he was a writer for WWE. So this is not something new to him in thinking long term. So he's got a plan for a face and a heel, if nothing else, or maybe a couple within 3 years. Storylines based in reality. WWE, remember, so he's got that little tie-in with Vince on pulling from real life to make something. So the question is, what reality are we talking, and how far or deep is he going to go in the situations? Men and women given equal time, and he wants to own the space it's filmed in. That's an interesting request. I guess that's for pyro reasons and the ability to be able to steal off it and keep people from spoiling what's going to happen. I guess. But
Well,
what
if nothing else, is to keep down overhead too, because if he owns the place, he doesn't have to lease it or rent it. He doesn't have to
Yeah,
give up any money for it. He can do whatever he wants to do with the building, whenever. So yeah,
yeah. But here's
I
the
get that.
kicker, and what really kind of throws everything awry. He wants it to be a SAG award level show. So that's the Screen Actors Guild. So
Well,
the
not
kind of
necessarily a SAG award show.
well, I mean, if you're trying
What?
to be you're going for an award. I mean, if you're going to be part of the guild
No, no,
and
no,
all
no,
that
no, no,
stuff,
no, 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 no. Let's get it straight. What he's trying to do with that? He's saying he wants it to be a SAG show, meaning that he wants the wrestlers to be qualified for the insurance and the benefits under the Screen Actors Guild. That's what he
yeah,
wants. He's not worried about awards or whatnot. He wants the benefits
yeah,
of being insured by the Screen Actors Guild for the wrestlers.
okay. I
So,
mean, I
and he
respect that.
wants and he wants to try to help this turn into a unionized situation. So he wants to start the wrestling. He wants to start the wrestling union, like Ventura tried to back in the day before Hogan decided to snitch on him to Vince.
Yeah, and that's kind of hard to you know stop the press of the union if one place is already unionized, and that's just that's going to be a debate for everybody. That's going to be the biggest weigh-in for Tony Khan, I would say, because we know Vince's position, but
Right.
Tony Khan being for the wrestlers, that'll be interesting. That will determine really what his outlook is as an owner. Is he, because if he says no, I'm not for the union, then we've got some interesting conversations on our hands. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, there's so many different wrestling shows. I don't understand why he just doesn't buy one of the ones that are out, like a GCW, and maybe do something with it instead of trying to start from the ground up, or Sin, or what's the one that Braun Strowman's in? It's not Sin. That's a
The
different.
Create Your Narrative
Yeah,
with
no, that's
EC3.
what's Gresham?
Control Your Narrative. Control Your Narrative with
That's Gresham as
EC3.
well?
No, Gresham's is Terminus.
Terminus. That's the other one I was thinking of.
But he's only had like he's had one show. I know he's supposed to have a second show. I don't know if it went off or not, but
Right.
I haven't heard anything else about Terminus since that first show. So I don't know if that's still going on or if he's still trying to do something with it or what. But but I can see what Freddie's doing. I mean, it's me myself. I would rather be able to say that I started something from the ground up than to take over something and be like, well, this is what I got. I changed it, I made it better, but this is where it came from. At least if I get something from that I planted the seed, I watered it, I fertilized it, I made it grow, I harvested from it. I benefited from it. This is me. This is all me. That I would prefer that over going and buying a GCW and being like, yeah, well, this is where it came from. This is who started it or whatever. I did what I did to, make it, to change it and to make it better or to make it what it is today. I want to be able to take onus and say, this is mine. This is where it came. This is where it came from. It came from me.
What if it was something different? Like if I had, the capital and all that stuff, and I have some ideas, I'm not gonna get into all that, but I wouldn't mind investing a large sum of money just because it's me, and I think that they should be more weighted in the industry than they are. Maryland Championship Wrestling. Like I would, go there, invest money. It's not like they're at the level of everybody else, or even the GCWs, and even I'd still say maybe they're higher than Terminus, but or Impact. But at the same time, with the right capital in the right direction, I think it would be cool to start having local shows at that MCW level, not just something that you got a group of folks together and they're doing something in a gym every Saturday or something like that. A little bit higher up at that Maryland Championship Wrestling level, and they negotiate TV time with the local channels.
Plus, he may have found a place, or may want to put it in a place that doesn't really have a wrestling presence or used to have a wrestling presence, and he wants to build up on.
Yeah.
Who knows? He may be going to Atlanta.
Possibly.
I mean, he can go to Atlanta. He may go somewhere else where he's, he may go somewhere else. He may go to Charlotte. I mean, there's a whole bunch of places he could go to that has a wrestling presence there already that he can build on. But then there are other places that he might know about where he feels that he may be able to build a wrestling presence and bring money into that community and, make money at the same time. So
yeah.
we'll just have to see what's going on. I mean, another thing that was on that list that you didn't state was that he didn't have a contract, TV contract yet.
Right.
Now,
I'm going to allude to that in a second.
Now, I'm thinking that he might be on the precipice of one. And the reason why, and I'm going to go back to the Tessa Blanchard story. Now, in an interview that he did it wasn't an interview because he said it on his podcast. But Freddie Prinze Jr. said on his podcast that he was helping. The reason why he got involved in doing this or got the idea to do this is because he was helping a promotion try to get a TV deal for them to be on television.
Right.
Now, he did mention that the TV, he never mentioned who the promotion was, but he did say that the promotion was going through, they were working with the CW. Going back to WoW, right. Yeah. So I'm thinking that he was working with WoW to get the CW deal. He wound up getting taken out of the situation, and the company got the deal anyway. It's my thinking that it's WoW.
Right.
And then he was like, well, I enjoyed the process. He said, I liked what I was dealing with as far as, the dealings and, the negotiations and everything. And it just made me think. And then he said there was a wrestler who he was talking to who told him to go check out GCW. So he checked out some of the GCW matches, went back into their history and, looked at what they were doing in the past and everything. And then he said that he was really interested in doing this. So being that he hasn't really been working a lot, he talked to his accountant to see where he was money-wise as far as putting something like this together. He said, well, first of all, you need to get your ass back to work. Yeah, so he's supposed to be doing some work with Netflix or whatever on some shows or whatever, or some movies or whatever. But he said you got the money to do what you need to do to get this done. So, but you just need some help.
Yeah,
so
it needs to be liquid.
Right.
That quick?
Yeah, he must have been speeding. I gotta go get one of our listeners, folks. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Just like that, we have lost the Nubian Sumo. So while he's going out there to get one of our faithful, let's talk about WrestleMania Backlash. Tomorrow night, Mother's Day. Interesting timing for a show that really is technically, I guess, apropos all about the women, because the most important match, in my opinion, on the card is Charlotte versus Ronda. That's it. When they added Drew McIntyre, in my opinion, to the tag team unification potential with the Bloodline versus, I want to say Rated RKO, Arcade Bro, I don't know why they tabled that discussion and why they're moving it away. Cody v. Seth, I mean, it'd be okay, but, not looking for anything special. Edge versus AJ Styles with Damian Priest being out. I'm liking Undertaker-esque void that Edge is filling. Same thing, with Damian Priest finally having something to do, but nothing special. And then, Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss. Okay. And Bobby Lashley.
Waste of a match for me because, for them to put that match on and not the women's tag team championship that they're going to have on Friday, it makes no sense. But I see what they're doing. They saved that match for ratings pretty much. So try to get people to come to that show. So I kind of get it, but
yeah,
this is a pay-per-view.
Yep. And then you got Lashley versus Omos 2, just because really it's only a mode for MVP because there's no need for that match to happen a second time. Now, there was an interview where Omos was talking about his childhood and how he had 3 types of rare tumor situations in his face that he had to have taken care of. Just hearing him talk about that situation, I'm like, man, why don't they let him tap into himself? And that's the conversation. Granted, he's a big man, so he's going to have that tone. And where he's from, he's going to have that tone. But just letting him talk. Then he also told the story about how his mama gave him, Happy Mother's Day again, gave him $1,000 of emergency fund. And all he could think of doing was finding an iPod to buy. And at the airport, they were out of iPods, so he bought the Microsoft Zoom just because it looked like an iPod. So that, just him like that. That's the Omos that I want to have come through, not as a baby face, still as a heel, but he can
See, that's the
talk.
thing. That's the thing. He
He
would
can
come
talk.
off as a baby face. He would come off as a baby face if he did that. Hence, uh, what's her name? What's her name?
I don't know who you talking about. There's a lot of females.
Uh,
Give me
the
something.
one that's coming back, the Marine, the one that used to
Oh,
the
you talking
Southern
about
Belle.
oh shoot, God dang it, the Southern Belle, Southern Belle,
Evans,
Lacey Evans, Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans. They're doing that with her, and I was talking to. Of course, I had to go get Raj. I had to go get Raj. I listened to Raj. You know, he was here last night, and we were watching Friday Night SmackDown, and having to go through that soliloquy that Lacey Evans has been doing for the past month. I
Yeah.
was telling him last night, I'm sick of it. You
They're
know,
wearing you
of course.
down for
Yeah,
the way
and see,
like
the only thing is, last night made me think that she's gonna turn they're gonna turn her heel because remember, right before for those that for those that didn't watch, and I'm giving a spoiler because this is bullshit. Don't nobody care about your year-old
this isn't a
flat
year old.
soda.
I just bought this today.
You just told us earlier that there was a year-old soda that you had in your refrigerator for a year.
Yeah, from age 17 to 18, James.
Oh God. Anyway, forget whatever. So she's doing her little soliloquy last night, but then they decided to bring her out, just for an appearance. But the announcer, right before she came out, says, Lacey Evans would like for you all to stand and give her the proper respect.
Yep,
That was a little heelish.
more than heelish. That's almost what I like to have right now. Is for all
Right, yeah.
out of shape.
So
if she
they
goes
may
in
be
that direction,
so
I
after
would love
all
to
this build up, all this story, all this crying, and she's been abused and she's been taken advantage of, and she lived in all this squalor and all the moving around that she had to do. She never had friends and all this and that. Now they're gonna turn. She's gotten all this sympathy, and now they're gonna turn around and make her heel.
Hey, make a phone call. This is for all little kids to Phineas and Ferb. Talk to Doofenshmirtz and ask him what's the most important thing for a villain. It's a horrible backstory. That's literally.
Which brings me back to Omos.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to Omos. If you do what they did for Lacey,
no, I don't.
It's gonna turn him face unless they do what they do to make him a heel like they get ready to do her.
Got more words than "This is my house." That's all I'm saying. Every match, this is my house. This is my house.
Like he Dikembe, like he Dikembe Mutombo or somebody.
Yeah, no, I'll take a dunk on him. That's all I'm saying. He has more words.
I almost had to dunk him, but that's another story.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I know it's about time for something special.
And before we do though, there was one other story that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I was gonna slide that in.
And
we can do it in this segment. But go ahead, you can talk about that.
Okay. There's one other thing. One other story because this is now everybody knows that CM Punk had a deal with Marvel to do some comic book writing, and which led to some other things for him later on. But now it has come out that there's another writer, a comic book writer in wrestling, and their name is Nyla Rose. Now, Nyla has gotten together with Marvel to resurrect a X-Men character that passed away back in the 70s by the name of Thunderbird, which was the Marvel's first Native American superhero. Now, he wound up getting killed off months after his first appearance, making him the first X-Man to ever die in the comics. But now there's been a resurrection, and she's part of the writing crew, the creative crew for that comic. And she says that in her interview, she said that she was a big fan of the 1994 X-Men Fleer cards,
Mm.
and as she was collecting them, she got a Thunderbird card, and she was looking at it like, "Who is this? I never knew about this character." She turned the card around and started reading about it. Found out that he was a Native American. Of course, she's Oneida Indian,
Right.
and he's supposed to be Apache. And then she found out that he was already deceased. So she was like, no wonder I never heard about him. So she did some research on him and found out about him. And then when Marvel decided to bring back this character, one of the other writers, and I'm trying to remember his name, Steve Orlando, actually reached out to Nyla, knowing that Nyla was a comic book fan and had done some fantasy writing in the past, and said that you asked her if she wanted to be part of this, being that she would bring some insight as far as being a Marvel fan, being a Native American herself, and things of that nature, to bring some insight to the comic. So they have gotten together. I believe the first issue, Giant, I think it's called Giant Size X-Men Thunderbird #1, which I believe has already been released. She had a hand in giving him his new outfit and designing his new outfit and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see where this comic book goes. And I just want to give a shout out to her and her, and working outside of wrestling to get involved in something like this. So I just wanted to bring that to light as well.
Yeah, it's a big week for her. I think I actually have that card as well somewhere in the dungeon there and all my card packs. 'Cause I was heavily collecting those cards back then as well. So I remember having it. I think I still have it. I have to double check that. But also another feather in her cap, pun intended. There is they released from the video game side her announcement trailer showing what she looks like, in the ring in the AEW video game that will come out whenever. And she looked really good. Now, it's one thing to have, to be in a game. It's another thing to have a really good face scan. It's a third thing to do what they're doing in this one, which is going to be pretty interesting. Excuse me, even for you, James, who don't really play games, is that they have a, I guess you could call it almost an animation cutscene. So instead of it just being the move and you see the video game side of it, you actually have, the rendering side of the move happening. So it could be a Russian leg sweep, but it goes into, the graphical version of the Russian leg sweep being rendered in the game. So that's something I've not seen in a video game at that level, to where you're putting an animation, for lack of a better term, into the video game to illustrate what that move is supposed to look like. So if they sprinkle that in enough in the right ways, that's going to be a great way for people to get introduced into wrestling and to really discover things. Also on the same side, WWE is getting nervous, so they went ahead and just re-inked their deal with 2K. So at the publisher 2K, to keep WWE 2K going, since they had a good version this time to report instead of the hot garbage that came out with 2K20. So
And since we're talking about games, what's going on with the AEW game? I hear they're having a lot of problems and things going on with them. So,
well, they're just not roughing it. So they're going through, it's the first one. They're trying not to, Ukes is trying not to do what they did with the WWE 2K 18, 17, 19. They're trying to really make it its own thing. So they don't want to rush it out because we have to produce it and it has to be put out, by fall of this year or anything. So they're going to encounter some growing pains, as Kenny Omega has talked about, and just trying to make it as realistic as possible, as good looking as possible. But in my opinion, graphics and, like I said, the face scans alone, Nala Rose looked like Nala Rose. Uh,
yeah, the one I saw with Kenny Omega looked real, very much like him too.
yeah, they also did Chris Statlander. So it was the two ladies that were shown this time. She looked just like herself. Her performing the move, everything looked really good. So if they just keep along that motion, I wouldn't expect it to come out this holiday. I'd put it about April of next year. No rush. It needs to come
Okay.
out though. Now they need to show more, but we're coming up on June when typically all those things are going to be shown at a higher level. But we'll see how it plays out. But Kenny is playing it real close to the vest. He's not trying to do too much. He's just trying to give us enough so that we don't forget about it. But then there's so many
Right.
other AEW things, between if you like casino games, the AEW casino is really fun. Playing with real people in slots and blackjack and stuff like that. The elite general manager from the fantasy perspective will fill the void that, if you don't play WWE games, so give you that GM capability. So there's enough out there sprinkled to do it. But when this game drops, hopefully 2K has got their act together and they're ready to handle it because it, in my opinion, will be better than 2K, whatever year it's coming out. So, with that being said, I hope you're ready for my favorite video ever. And naturally, it's not about me. Yep, still my fave. That's sad to say, but it's always the ending that gets me because I see you in camera as it's playing, and then you got you all, suited up and stuff. And I'm like, man, this guy over here can clean up once in a while and maybe make something out of nothing.
Yeah, I tend to clean up good. I tend to clean up all right, you know.
Now playing with, yeah.
I'm just being humble.
Okay.
I'm just being humble. That's all.
All right.
All right. So again, I got the pencil, so I'm gonna be a booker, and I'm gonna make everything about me. So of course, I had to put a That's Just Nubian segment in here, and I'm gonna start it off with a question for you, Don. What do Stu Grayson, Candice LeRae, and Willie Mack have in common?
They all been released?
They have all been released. Well, actually, in actuality, they've all had their contracts expire, and they chose not to re-sign. So,
I don't know if this is
Stu
real
Grayson,
or not, but
Stu Grayson is.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Put a pin in it. Put a pin in it. I don't know if it's real, but just in case, could be a troll. Why not? Hello, Lydia and Gabrielle. We got some flamingo.
Hello from Brazil, De Janeiro. Can you send a hug to my children? Wow. Well, how you doing, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil?
Lord knows we
hugs and kisses to everybody, especially Lydia and Gabriel. Oh my goodness! Wow. Yeah, that's something else, no doubt.
It's amazing where you may end up sometimes. But go ahead. Sorry. Yes, they were all covered.
No, hey. I appreciate that one. No doubt. I'm sure KG's gonna hate he missed that one, though, for real. But Stu Grayson, member of the Dark Order, member of with Evil Tag Team with Evil Uno, has decided that he's going to look elsewhere, find out what's going on in the Indies. He had an opportunity to resign and he chose not to, so he's going to go off to see what's happening on the outside. Candice LeRae, who's been out due to her pregnancy, which is the wife of Johnny Gargano, has also been released. She was offered a new contract and chose not to re-sign with the WWE. And the latest being Willie Mack, who made an announcement today saying that the last taping that they did back on the 30th was his last appearance in Impact Wrestling. Mm-hmm. So that breaks up the tag team with him and Rich Swann. So I noticed in the last show, or in the last Thursday night show that they did for Impact, that Willie Mack and Rich Swann were cutting a promo, and were interrupted by Matt Cardona, and they just got out of a deal with W. Morrissey, and um, Rich Swann challenged Matt Cardona to the social media championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that puts him in a position to start back solo again. And they'll be phasing out Willie Mack as we go along. So good luck to those three. See where they end up here in the next few months or so. I'm not sure if any non-compete clauses are included in any of their contracts, but we'll just have to see where it goes. Now, I wanted to recap everything from the AAA Triple Mania show that happened last week, because there was a lot of interesting things that happened. We'll go ahead and get started with the first match, being the first round of the Ruleta de la Muerte tournament, which is which, as I stated, the loser of that tournament will lose their mask forever. And the first round was Ultimo Dragon versus Pentagon Jr. Ultimo Dragon ended up winning that match, with Pentagon losing, so he'll be moving on to the next round. The next match being the mixed tag team championship match with Ty Conte and Sammy Guevara versus Sexy Star 2 and Commander versus Maravilla and Latigo versus Erez and Chic Tormenta, which were the champions. Now, this was supposed to be a three-way match,
right?
But Sammy and Ty put up a big fuss about whether they wanted this to be a championship match. So they added the champions into the match, making it a four-way. Now, Sammy Guevara was coming in hurt, because this was set up after the ladder match that he had with Scorpio Sky, where he lost the TNT Championship. So he came out in crutches. And so they did this promo on the screen. Ty was like, I don't know if I want you out here, whatnot. He says, "Don't worry, I got a plan. Don't worry about it. I got you." So they came out, they came down the ring, and Sammy did the joint, and then out comes Parker Negra, one of LA Park's people. Right. So he became Ty Conte's tag team partner, with Sammy being on the outside. So the match goes on. Sammy ends up into the ring toward the end of the match. He hits Chick Tormenta with the crutch. Ty Conte hits her finish on her, and now you have new mixed tag team champions in Sammy Guevara and Ty Conte. So I'm sure they're going to be bringing those belts on to AEW television. They may even be incorporated some kind of way in the pay-per-view that we'll be talking about a little later. But they've got those titles now, and they said they wanted them, and they got them. So the second match in the first round of the Ruleta de la Muerte tournament was LA Park versus Villano number 4. This turned into a very bloody, very violent match, with Villano number 4 picking up La Parka on 2 counts a lot. Not going ahead and taking the pin as he should have, but which extended the match a lot. Both of the masks were torn to the point where LA Parks was about to come off of his face. He was wearing it, kind of like a mask, or like one of those surgical masks like we'd be wearing and whatnot.
COVID special.
So it was crazy, but LA Park wound up pulling the match out. LA Park wound up pulling the match out and wound up winning. The Honor number 4 will be moving on in the tournament. Now, there was a presentation that was made. The owner, Dorian Roland, came out to present a special plaque to a very influential member of the AAA history by the name of Latin Lover.
Okay.
To present him with a plaque, a commemorative plaque. He came out to address Latin Lover came out to address the crowd and was interrupted by the group Lion Press's membership of Ray Scorpion and Jeff Jarrett. Yes, that Jeff Jarrett, along with his wife Karen, who came out and was digging into the fans. Jeff Jarrett came out before he got into the ring. He started yelling at the fans, talking about, if you all don't shut up, I have all of y'all run out of this country. Like he's gonna run Mexicans out of Mexico. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So he gets to the ring and he starts giving his accolades. I am the former Intercontinental Champion. I am the former NWA World Champion. I'm da 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 da. He gets it to the face. He goes out and he gets it to the face of Maricela Pena, who is the widow of the original owner of AAA, who has a very big presence within all of the shows that they do, and so he goes out and he forces the ring announcer to translate for him, and runs down everything. And Karen Jarrett gets on the mic and calls the fans dirty basuras.
Oh my God.
Basura being Spanish for trash. So she called her dirty trash. So then the Latin Lover heard enough. He takes off his jacket. He calls Jarrett then calls Latin Lover a dirty, filthy, grimy Mexican, of which he takes a shot at Jarrett. Rey Escorpion takes down Latin Lover. And then who makes an appearance to help Latin Lover to make the save? Vampiro.
Really?
Vampiro shows up and comes in. So it's yes, really. Oh, he's in very good shape. He looked like he'd been doing a little bit of DDP yoga.
That's about to say the last time I saw Vampiro.
He looked pretty good coming down the aisle and whatnot. He came in, he got into it with Jarrett and Ray and Scorpion, and they wound up running him off.
Good for him.
Karen Jarrett tried to turn the tables on Latin Lover and Ray and Vampiro, and wound up getting a kiss from Latin Lover. He wound up kissing her. So that started up something else, and so they wound up getting order and whatnot, and then Latin Lover and Vampiro wound up celebrating in the ring. So then they go on to the next match, which is Dragon Lee versus Dralistico, which they are brothers and are considered members of La Facción Ingobernable. Yeah. Black Taurus versus Johnny Caballero, or as they called him there, Johnny Superstar, or as you know him as John Morrison, versus also in that match was Laredo Kid and a mystery partner. Now, they said that Laredo Kid was supposed to have a partner that was going to be from America and was an independent star. So it wound up being GCW's Jack Cartwheel.
Okay.
So it kind of mixed in with Laredo Kid and the Lucha Libre style, that they share, a lot of high flying and everything for those two. So, it kind of fit for them to be together. And Johnny Caballero and Black Taurus wound up. Okay. Now, in the third match for the Ruleta de Muerte, you had Rayo de Jalisco versus Blue Demon Jr., which they wound up going into the history of those two, where talking about how their fathers were wrestling together, and how I think Blue Demon Jr. the original Blue Demon wound up taking the mask of Rayo de Jalisco's father, wound up having his mask taken by the original Blue Demon. So there was a lot of things going on with that. So let's see. Okay, so that match wound Rayo de Jalisco wound up being attacked by Sin Cara's family because Cien Caras, 100 Masks, his family came out because the original Rayo de Jalisco also took Sin Cara's father's mask.
Oh God.
Sin Cara's father's mask. So there was a lot of history going on in this match. But it wound up that Rayo de Jalisco wound up defeating Blue Demon Jr. And Blue Demon Jr. goes on to go further into the tournament. Now there was a match between Pagano, Bandito, and Taya, who is now the new Rey de Reyes champion, defeating Deonna Purrazzo for the championship. Going up against Cybernetico, Andrade El Idolo, and Deonna Purrazzo. And the winner of that match ended up being they wound up being a double disqualification in that match because it just got out of control, and the referee had to stop it. So there was no real winner in that match. So in the last match of the first round of the tournament, you had Psycho Clown versus Connect. And then in that match, you had Connect, who wound up winning, who wound up beating Psycho Clown because Dr. Wagner Jr. came in and attacked Psycho Clown. Psycho Clown then got into it with Dr. Wagner Jr., which ended up having Andrade El Idolo come in and help Dr. Wagner jump Psycho Clown. Right. So then after that, they hit Psycho Clown with a double suplex through what looked like a door or some type of board that they propped up against the corner. Now, after all this happened, Dr. Wagner Jr. approached Andrade Del Idolo to join a faction that he had already started.
What?
Yeah, there was a faction. I don't know what the name of the faction was, but there was another guy that I don't know who he was in the ring with Dr. Wagner. He was a masked wrestler, but they had on these baseballs type shirts that had a name going across it. I wasn't really, because they had it open, I wasn't really sure what the name actually was. Right. But they had his name on the back of it, but they pulled out one just like it with Andrade's name on the back of it. And from the little Spanish that I know of, he was asking him if he wanted to join his faction, or if he would join his faction. And so after playing it up a little bit, keeping the crowd in suspense, asking them, see or no, then he wound up joining the faction. Now, Andrade Del Idolo is supposed to be a member of La Facción Ingobernable, being that he was one of the original members of Los Ingobernables in CMLL.
Okay.
So, and being that, and so I don't know where this is going to lead, whether it's going to be a merging of factions or whether he's going to do this separately, because he hasn't really been wrestling with Los Ingobernables or La Facción de Ingobernable, but, he is part of it as far as history is concerned. And as far as when he first came out after leaving WWE, that was the intention, to make him part of that faction. So we'll just have to see where it goes as far as what they end up doing with him in that faction.
Right.
And then you had your main event, which was Hijo del Vikingo, which is the AAA Mega Champion, and El Rey Fenix going up against the Young Bucks. Now, this was a pretty good match. It wound up going pretty well. As you know, a lot of high flying, a lot of stuff off the ropes and whatnot. There was a mistake that was made, or miscommunication, if you will, between Phoenix and Vikingo on a move that wound up leading toward the Young Bucks getting a pin. And even in the pin, there was a lot of controversy because when Matt Jackson pinned El Vikingo, he made the referee count him out 5 times.
What?
He counted him out. And he said, count it again, count it again. He said, count it 1, 2, 3. Count it again, count it again. 1, 2, 3. So he kept doing it. Now, is this a setup for Kenny? Is this something that they're doing to try to, if they do some kind of collaboration and bring some of the AAA guys into AEW? Is this something to say, yeah, you come over if you want to, but just know who the man around here, that type of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with that. Now, all this is going to lead to the show that they are going to have next. The next big show will be in June. I believe it's June 18th, if I'm not mistaken, where they've already started putting the matches together for that show, which is the second Triple Mania of the year. Again, they're going to have 3.
Right.
All right. Now, one of the matches that they've already put together for the second Triple Mania is a 5-way match that is going to unify the AAA Latin American Championship, which is held by Black Taurus right now, and Laredo Kid's World Cruiserweight Championship. Now, making this interesting is the fact that Black Taurus, Laredo Kid are in the match defending, okay? You've got Hijo del Vikingo, who is your mega champion, in the match. You also have Bandito and Ray Phoenix.
Who looked good on Rampage. I'm sorry, on Dynamite, by the way, this past week.
Right, exactly. So now you got this 5-way match, and with Hijo del Vikingo being in this match as the mega champion, if he wins, he's a Triple Crown champion, which gives him all 3 belts. Now, according to their history, the last person that actually did this was John Morrison as Johnny Mundo.
Right.
He did it back in 2017, where he won all 3 matches at a Rey de Reyes show. So that's going to be interesting, right? Then you also have it's going to be a 7-match card. They've got the semifinals for the Ruleta de Muerte matches, where Pentagon Jr. is going to take on Blue Demon Jr., and Psycho Clown will go up against Villano number 4. Now, they're also going to have a Triple Mania Cup match, another one. It's going to be a 13-person match, as well as a cage of women, an all-women's Escape the Cage match. Okay. It's going to open the show. It's going to be Chick Tormenta, Flamir, La Hereda, Lady Shanti, Maravilla, Rainier Dorado, and Sexy Star 2. Now, once all the smoke is cleared, the last 2 women that are left in the cage are going to meet later in the match for a mask versus mask match, and the loser will lose her mask. Now, and like I said, that's going to start the show. The main event of this show is going to be Dragon Lee and Dralistico, El Facción de Gubernable, versus the Hardy Boys.
That'll be good, for sure.
Yeah, that should be a good match.
Barn burner.
That should be a good match. So that's it for Triple Mania for right now. Then I want to go into what happened at Wrestling Dontaku, which was also last week.
Busy time.
Um, huh?
I said it was a busy time.
Oh yeah, last week was very busy as far as big shows going on. So the first match on the card was Zack Sabre Jr., Tai Chi, and Taka Michinoku, which is Suzuki-gun versus Shingo Takagi, Bushi, and what was supposed to be Fujiwara, master, the guy who invented the Fujiwara armbar. He was supposed to be in the match, but they wound up replacing him with Shiro Koshinaka. Now, you say, who is this guy, right? And usually they bring in guys who have some type of historical meaning to New Japan or to the event that they're dealing with. Well, in this case, Shiro Koshinaka is the person who developed and is famous for the hip attack.
What?
Yes, this is the guy who made who. So whenever you see Asuka in the match,
Yeah.
and she jumps up and she bumps people with her rear, like Naomi does with the rear view.
Yeah.
Shiro Koshinaka is the person who brought that to light. That was his style of wrestling. So he brought that into the fold. So Los Ingobernables de Japón, that faction wound up winning the match with Shingo, Bushi, and Koshinaka. Wound up winning that match. In the second match, you had Hiromu Takahashi versus Yo, in which Hiromu Takahashi won that match, which was pretty much a precursor to the Best of the Super Juniors, which we'll get into a little bit later because they did make the announcements for the participants, which I'll let you know. Tonga Loa was in a match and wound up losing to Yujiro Takahashi, being that this was the show that was the Bullet Club anniversary show. Right. So, you would think that Takahashi would win that match, being that even though he's House of Torture, that is a sub faction of the Bullet Club. So there was that. Then you had for the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, you had Taguchi and Master Wato defending their titles against Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Doki, of which Taguchi and Wato wound up defending their championships. You had a three-way match for the IWGP Tag Team Championships with Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto going up against the United Empire's Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan, who are the champions. And a third challenger, excuse me, being Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens of the Bullet Club, of which you now have new tag team champions in Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. And they've now developed a new rocket launcher elbow drop, which I thought was interesting. Chase Owens, being a big fan of beautiful Bobby Eaton, actually wore his memorial T-shirt to the ring that night. They've developed a crossbreed rocket launcher and top rope elbow drop. So that it looked pretty good with them doing it. Chase Owens coming off the top with Fale throwing him off and whatnot. So that was their finisher, and that's how they won it. So they're the new champions. Then you had Tama Tonga going up against Evil for the Never Openweight Championship, of which Evil wound up retaining. Well, excuse me, Tama Tonga ended up winning. So Tama Tonga is your new Never Openweight Championship, and got revenge from Evil on his revenge tour for the Bullet Club for them kicking him out like they did. So you had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, El Desperado going up again, defending the title against Taiji Ishimori. And again, you have a new IWGP Heavyweight Champion in Taiji Ishimori. So it's a good night for the Bullet Club.
Okay.
So far. Then for the United States Heavyweight Championship, it was supposed to be Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Will Ospreay. Now they're saying that it was supposed to be Sonata. Sonata was the United States champion, but he had broke his orbital bone and wound up relinquishing the championship. So Sonata wanted to give the belt to Hiroshi Tanahashi, but he said, no, that's not how we do things. That's not how I want to win the belt. I want to have the belt. So he said, I'll go up against Will Ospreay and we'll settle it that way. Ospreay got tested positive for COVID. So they replaced him with Tomohiro Ishii.
Okay.
Now, Tanahashi ended up winning the match and became the IWGP United States Heavyweight champion. Chase Owens comes out.
Okay.
And he says, look, man, you were supposed to have wrestled me to defend that title against me a long time ago, and I never got my shot. But guess what? I don't even want it now. I'm a tag team champion. I'm a world champion, not a United States champion. I'm a world tag team champion. But there is somebody else I know that wants this belt. And out comes the newest member of the Bullet Club. Rock Hard Juice Robinson.
What?
Juice Robinson came out a few weeks ago, about a month ago, saying that he was going to get out of New Japan, that he was going to get out of his contract, and he was going to go look and see what was going to happen other places, even consider getting out of wrestling altogether for a little while just to get his body back together and, kind of recover. Right. But he came out, Bullet Club vest, plaid shirt with the gimmick, with a little shirt gimmick around his waist, tied around his waist by the sleeves. Came out, gave him with a mask on at first. Gave the Pulp Fiction to Tanahashi, pulled off his mask, and there he was. Of which I'll bring him back up in a little bit as well. So now for the main event, you had Kazuchika Okada defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Tetsuya Naito, and Kazuchika Okada retains the belt and does his speech at the end. I was thinking that there was going to be some kind of run-in to see who's going to be the next person to challenge, but they didn't do that. So we'll just have to see what happens with the belt. They probably just hold off until after the Best of the Super Juniors, because Okada probably won't be wrestling for the next month and a half while the tournament is going on, because usually they try to put all the emphasis and concentration on the juniors when they're doing this. So he probably won't be wrestling at all or defending the belt. So probably wait until afterwards to deal with that. So that's it for what happened last week. Did you have anything that you wanted to bring up or any questions about anything going on right now so far?
No, you got that covered. I know there's a couple other things we could talk about that's coming up. We kind of alluded to, last time but our feelings on WrestleMania Backlash. So we all kind of didn't touch on another show that's coming up this month, and that being Double or Nothing in Vegas. It's still developing. As the world turns and things unfold in AEW land. But on May 29th, that's when it'll happen. Right now, that's already on the books is CM Punk versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. We also have Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb for the Women's World Championship. And then we know we'll have the finals of the Owen Hart Cups for the men and women's side. just to let you know where it stands right now on the men's side, you're looking at Ray Phoenix versus Kyle O'Reilly in one matchup. Then the other one, you have Samoa Joe versus the Joker, to which is kind of rumored to be formerly known as Cesaro Claudio. On the other side of the bracket, you have Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin and Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood. Excuse me. So that's how things stand on the men's side of things. Women's side, you're looking at Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker versus the Joker. I'm not sure who that's going to be. I haven't heard any rumor mills. You can let me know if you've heard anything.
No, I haven't heard anything either.
On the other side of the bracket, you're talking Riot versus Riho and Red Velvet versus Hikaru Shida. So, I mean, a betting man is a betting man is a betting man, at least on the women's side, that it's going to be Britt or the Joker versus probably Ruby Riot or Shida. Actually, Shida. I'd see Shida going making it all the way to the end. The question is, would they put the TNT champion in there to go up against Britt Baker? That'd be something interesting, considering that she's undefeated, and there's nobody else for her to face right now.
Nah, I doubt they will put her in that. I doubt they will put her in that tournament. I would think more that the winner would go after her once they win the tournament.
Yeah. So I don't know who would be imported for that could come in and be the Joker. I don't know. That's an interesting one. But then I know you also wanted to touch bases on Impact. So I'm gonna let you cover that. I gotta step off for about 30 seconds, but go ahead and cover Impact.
Okay, well, right now the Impact is having a pay-per-view going on right now. You're gonna get us demonetized. Stop. As much as I appreciate it, you need to stop that. You need to turn that down.
I didn't even find out. I'm saying, what is Jimmy?
You have to forgive Raj over here. He's a little exuberant for some reason. I'll get on him later. But right now, Impact Wrestling is having a pay-per-view. Their Under Siege pay-per-view is going on right now. You did have two matches in the pre-show that was on YouTube at 7:30. You had Heath and Rhino, who went up against Raj Singh and Shira. Heath and Rhino wound up winning that match. There was a three-way match with Rich Swann, Speedball Mike Bailey, and the Laredo Kid. And Rich Swann wound up winning that match as well. Now, Rich Swann was originally supposed to be in a match with Alex Shelley, but I think some kind of scheduling situation got Shelley taken off of the card, so they took that match off of the main card altogether. So so you had Ace. So on the card, you had Ace Austin versus Trey Miguel for the Impact X Division Championship. Chris Sabin going up against Steve Macklin. You had Tasha Steelz defending the Knockouts World Championship against Havoc. You have Violent by Design defending the World Tag Team Championship against the Briscoes. You have the rematch for the Reina de Reinas Championship with Taya Valkyrie champion versus Deonna Purrazzo. The Bullet Club as a whole, Jay White, Chris Bay, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, and El Phantasmo going up against Honor No More, Eddie Edwards, Kenny King, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Vincent. And for the main event, you have Josh Alexander defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Tomohiro Ishii, who wound up winning his match on Thursday to guarantee his shot tonight. So it is 10 It's 10:23 at this time where we are right now, where I am right now, and that pay-per-view should be starting the main event if it hasn't already, I would assume. So we'll go into that match or that card on next week to follow up on that card. You got okay. So Perry's letting us know what's going on with that. Sammy Callahan has made a return. The Briscoes now the Impact Tag Team Champions, of which I kind of figured that would happen. Congratulations to them. Tasha Steelz has retained against Havoc, so she's beaten both members of the of Decay because the last pay-per-view she beat Rosemary to defend the championship. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So next up on the docket, I want to go into New Japan's next show coming up, which is
Capital Collision.
The Capital Collision, which is going on in the DC area on next Saturday. To start out, they'll start out with Ren Narita versus Carl Fredericks. The next match will be a 10-man tag with Team Filthy, Tom Lawler, Royce Isaacs, Jarrell Nelson, J.R. Kratos, and Danny Limelight going up against Fred Rosser, Rocky Romero, David Finlay, Tonga Loa, and Yuya Uemura. Okay, so that's a member of Chaos, a de facto member of Chaos. I guess you could say Tonga Loa is a member of Chaos now that they've been adopted, and Fred Rosso just being on the New Japan Strong card. So interesting matchup there. Then you have Chase Owens going up against the Great O'Khan, which is pretty much a World Tag Team Champion versus former Tag Team Champion match. An interesting match on the card. You have Aaron of the United Empire, Aaron Hanare, Jeff Cobb, and Aussie Open, which is Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, going up against Jonah, Bad Dude Tito, Shane Haste, and Mikey Nichols. Mikey Nichols making his return to New Japan after a long absence. But now this completes the TMDK faction, the Mighty Don't Kneel faction, with Jonah, Haste, and Nichols being together now for the first time. So that I've been waiting for Mikey Nichols to come back because he was signed to New Japan and was under the Chaos flag banner. But now he is back with his tag team partners in that faction. So that faction's come back together now. And now in the semi-main event, actually it's not the semi-main event. It could be the semi-main event, but in the order that they have it here, for the United States Heavyweight Championship, they turned it into a four-way. Now, I'm not agreeing with this at all, and I'll tell you why. I understand why they did it, because there's so much intermingling going on with this match. Now, the original match was supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay. Okay? They had built up that match. They've been going back and forth on Twitter and the whole thing, building up this match and getting this match together. And they finally got it going. Now, Tanahashi wins the United States Championship against Tomohiro Ishii, which was supposed to be Will Ospreay because he got COVID. So now they turned this into a United States Championship match with Juice Robinson being involved now that he has put himself into the title picture, has beef with Jon Moxley and with Will Ospreay in the past.
Right.
So it messes up where you could have had a championship match with Hiroshi Tanahashi and Juice Robinson, and then you still had the Jon Moxley Will Ospreay match, of which the winner of that match could have won a against Tanahashi, or Tanahashi just could have went against all three of them at some point, which they still can. But to make this a 4-way and be like, okay, we're going to put all our eggs in one basket, kill 4 birds with 1 stone, it's almost like what they did with Backlash with the Usos and Roman Reigns and RK Bro and whatnot. So, I don't agree with this match. It's going to happen. We'll see what happens with it, but I was really looking forward to Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley. Right. Also on that card is Minoru Suzuki versus Brody King. You got Eddie Kingston going up against Tomohiro Ishii. And in the main event, you've got Jay White and Hikuleo versus Beretta and Kazuchika Okada. Now, this is an interesting situation because Hikuleo is the younger brother of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, which got kicked out of the Bullet Club. But Hikuleo is tag teaming with the leader of Bullet Club. Hikuleo has not really said whether he's gotten out of the faction or not, because he really doesn't wrestle with his brothers, being that he's in New Japan Strong. So they haven't really been doing a whole bunch of wrestling together. So it's going to be interesting to see if Jay White and Hikuleo mesh, if there's a swerve coming, if the Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga end up coming in on the match, especially since Tonga Loa is in this match, is on this card. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. So there's some interesting notes on this card to make it worth watching, or to make it worth paying attention to. So now we're going to go into the Best of the Super Juniors. They have announced the full card. Well, not the full card, but they've announced all of the entrants that are going to be in there in the tournament. It's going to be a round robin tournament. It's going to be 2 blocks, Block A, Block B, 10 people in each end. So it's going to be 20 people all together in this match, in this tournament. It's going to start on May 15th. In Block A, you've got Hiromu Takahashi from Los Ingobernables de Japón. You got Ryusuke Taguchi, one half of the Junior Tag Team champions. Taiji Ishimori, who just won the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Yoshinobu Kanemaru with Suzuki-gun. Sho, who's a member of the House of Torture. Yo, who is his former tag team partner with Chaos. Then you've got some interesting names in Block A. You've got Alex Zane, who's making his debut, who is usually wrestling for GCW. You've got Francisco Akira, who is the latest member of the United Empire, making his debut. You've got Clark Connors, who just graduated from the LA Dojo, who's on his excursion. And you also have who could be, after tonight, former or still Impact X Division champion Ace Austin. That's included in this tournament. So that gives you the A block. Okay. In the B block, you have El Desperado, Master Wato, Doki, El Lindemann, who's part of a faction called the Strong Hearts, who's a member of the GLEAT organization, which is a small independent faction in Japan. Okay. And is also the GLEAT T-Rex champion, which is their top championship. You have Robbie Eagles, Titan, who is affiliated with CMLL, Bushi, TJP, who's a member of the United Empire, El Phantasmo, and Wheeler Yuta from AEW, your Ring of Honor Pure Champion, is going to be in this. So again, this is a round robin tournament where everybody wrestles everybody. It's going to start on the 15th. They're going to go through until June the 2nd, where they'll end up in the Nippon Budokan, which is usually a big show for the final. The final, which will be the winner of whoever gets the most points out of the two blocks. They'll wrestle each other in the final to determine who the tournament winner is, which is usually a big card, and that'll be pretty much where Okada will probably find out his next opponent and, find out what's going on with the next big show.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see where all these newcomers, because you haven't had this many outsiders come into this tournament in a while. So, I mean, you got GCW represented, you got AEW, you got Impact Wrestling represented, the GLEAT organization. So we're going to see what happens. It should be interesting. I was hoping to see Kushida now that he's not with WWE anymore. But we may see an appearance from him on June 2nd. So because we don't know if he's got anything going on as far as a non-compete or whatever the case. So we'll see what happens there. So that's it for that. Any questions or anything you wanted to bring up on any of those things?
No, sir. I mean, we pretty much covered the good amount of everything. I guess we could call this a That's Just Nubian Plus show, because we had a lot of different promotions that we touched on, from the core segment as well as as it says, big shows are coming. So there's some things to look forward to in the summertime as we continue to press on and see how the landscape changes. And don't forget about obviously looming over Forbidden Door, which sold out as well for AEW instantaneously.
Right.
So a lot of
so you got Forbidden Door coming up. You got NWA Always Ready. Where they named the show after Matt Cardona. So I think Matt Cardona is going to have a title match in there somewhere. So I don't know. They're looking right now. They're looking like they may put Trevor Murdoch in that picture. They may have another match with Nick Aldis. The Pope has said something. The Pope has cashed in his title shot that he won during that tournament that they had last year. So he's talking about getting to the title picture. So it's a lot of interesting things going on with that within the NWA. So yeah, between now and about halfway through June or the end of June, there's a lot going on. It's going to be real busy.
So no, I think we gave people at least something to tease and look forward to or think about catching over these next couple weeks. Watch if you want to watch tomorrow to see what's going down. You can. If not, you just see the recap on Monday and Friday. Let's be honest with that one. So we'll see what plays out. But I think we had a pretty solid show, sir.
Yeah, like I said, I had the pencil or the pen in this situation. So I had to make it do what it do.
The book. So,
Mr. Booker Man.
So good job today getting us through. Excuse me. So how we do it. We don't really do any extra time because we do enough time, and that's about it. So unless you have nothing else, I think it's time to diversify some bonds.
No, I have nothing else. Y'all have a good one. Happy Mother's Day to everybody, and meet you, bitches.